Okay, so we're still with the quadratic modelling, so let's have a look at this one. So the shape of a water spout in a fountain can be modelled by that equation. X and Y are the horizontal and vertical displacements from the starting point of the water. So I'm just going to make an assumption kind of that it's measured from the point that the spout has started, and it's going up and it's landing on the ground there. So I've got this quadratic equation that looks like that. My first question is, what is the maximum height? So I'm after this value here. So there's a couple of approaches I could take to this. I could complete the square. I could well, I'll do it a slightly different way, and then I'm going to do it on a calculator as well, just as another way. Now what I need to know is, what is this value here? Now, can we see from this factorized form of the equation that this is 0, obviously, and this value here, where it hits the ground again, is going to be 3.6. And because of the symmetry of a parabola, this value here is going to be 1.8. So actually the max point is going to be at where x equals 1.8. So I end up with 0.6 times 1.8 times 3.6 minus 1.8. And we'll put that into our calculator. 0.6 times 1.8 times 3.6 minus 1.8, and I get 1.944 meters. Very important to put the units on these questions. That's a very common error. But actually, I can certainly do a check on this, can't I? And I can graph this, and I can find my maximum point that way. And I suppose, depending on the context of the question, this might be enough to get you the marks, but definitely, oops, sorry, I've done a squared, to be checking it using it this way. So let's graph that. It looks like that. Again, as always, you might have to mess around with the V window a little bit, and I can do a G-solve, I can do a max, and I can find my maximum point, 1.944, and at x is 1.8. So my assumptions were correct and I have the right value. Okay. What is the vertical displacement of the water at 3.8 meters from the spout? So that's nice and straightforward. So this time I'm going to substitute in 3.8. So I end up with 0.6 times 3.8 times 3.6 minus 3.8. Can we see this is beyond here? So I guess we can maybe see what's going to happen here. I've typed this in the calculator separately, so I won't do that in this video. And we end up with minus 0.456. So that is kind of saying it's come down below the ground. So what is your significance of the sign of your first answer? I think this is asking about this question here. So it is not possible, I'm going to say, because the water has hit the ground. So what we're saying here is that this model would only be appropriate between 0 and 3.6 for values of x. So x really needs to be between those values, otherwise it just doesn't work. Okay, so let's carry on. So another water spout has a maximum height of 2.7 meters above its starting point. The maximum height occurs at horizontal distance 1.2 from the starting point. Find a quadratic equation to model this water spout. So let's draw a little sketch to visualize it. So we have our water spout, excuse me, which looks something like that. and I'm told that this maximum point here has a maximum height of 2.7 and occurs a horizontal distance of 1.2. So the coordinates for that are 1.7, 2.7. So that is, sorry, 1.2, 2.7. And that is 2.7. Okay, so I'm going to use the completed the square version here to create a model for this. So we know our completed the square form is y equals a x plus b squared plus c. So in this case I know that I have something multiplied by x, negative sign of this, plus that. Okay, so that is my equation, but I've got an unknown which is a now, but I know that this equation goes through the origin. So at 0, 0, so I've got 0 equals a times minus 1.2 squared, because that x is going to disappear, plus 2.7. So a equals minus 2.7 over 1.2 squared, or minus 1.2 squared, and that equals minus 2.7 divided by minus 1.2 all squared, and I end up with minus 1.875. So I have my equation as y equals minus 1.875. I knew that was going to be minus because of the shape of the graph. X minus 1.2 squared plus 2.7. And as the question hasn't asked me for any particular form, that is absolutely fine. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. Okay, and that's that. Okay, just get the whole sheet on the screen, hopefully. Just about. If you want to pause and have a look. Okay.